What is going on, students? It's Devin Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and welcome back to another Match Monday. Today you got me on the right piloting Nectar, and my boy Jared on the left piloting Granblue. This match was absolutely awesome, and I am so thankful that we got this game recorded because you guys are in for a huge treat. So I'm going second with Nectar, and we are getting up our hands here, so we're going to go ahead and get all of this stuff out of the way. If you have not yet entered my giveaway for the white double deck box, please go do so. That link to that video is above my head. All you need to do is like that video, subscribe, and ask a question to enter the Q&A video that will be posted on Wednesday, and then you all will get your shot at entry, and I will unveil who wins in that Q&A video. And then if you, of course, need anything else from Dank Ritual, please go shop with dankritual.com. They have amazing, fantastic TCG products. They keep all my stuff looking absolutely fantastic. You know, I love the mat and the sleeves and all the oversleeves that they have. They're so pretty and so gorgeous. And, of course, if you need cards, please shop with my team sponsor, Kingslayer Cards. Use a promo code SCHOLAR, save 5% off on your order. They keep me in this game and grinding, and they are one of the best group of people I've ever worked with, and I'm so thankful to have them as a team sponsor, man. So I love the team and love the store. I'd do anything for them, so please go shop with one of the best stores in the community. So we are all set up and shuffled up, ready to go here. Jared is going first, so a little draw for turn, finds the Urja and rides it, draws another card and passes it over to me. I draw for turn. So I read the Carpet Maiden, of course, draw the card, get the Quick Shield and the Guardian ticket. And make the plant token there. So I like to pass here because the Columbard, in case like he has a brick hand, the Columbard will help unbrick his hand with the Ghost Ship. So him riding the Columbard and not having the counterblast punishes him a little bit. So I'm glad that we are doing that. So he will swing for 9 here. I will no guard this, and he unfortunately hits a crit, so I take 2 damage, and unfortunately the heal comes first. So I'm not really able to stabilize, but my hand is still pretty solid. Having the CB now for the Horticulture Elf is perfect, because I have the booster in the Honolly, so I can already display that I have a Honolly to begin limiting his attack output. If he rides up and does try to do some crazy shenanigans, he will be off access to some of those plays. So I will swing here, CB1, call another token with it, giving it 5k, so currently that column is 15. Jared no guards here. I drive check a draw trigger, so that makes that plant token 25, so that's a pretty rough manage to get, and I draw a Horticulture Elf off that draw trigger. Swing here for 25, so Jared essentially needs to come into Heal Guardian or take this, which is really tough because you never really want to be in that position anymore. Damage checks the Elementaria. So I did not realize that when I was doing this whole like damage deny and then push a little bit that he was essentially doesn't have a G Nightrose to ride, and so this kind of gives me a good setup to where because I don't have the best Katrina turn either, where I'm still able to kind of go into my history collection stride, set up the double force markers, so that way I can have a better like damage mapping output, because I know I just want to double Honolly him and keep him off like really big aggro turns. It's like my whole entire strategy right now, because as you can see, like I have the 2 Asha, but nothing really else to like make the plant token like game crazy, especially like with when he drops the Honolly from his hand, which you'll like see coming up. So he's trying to figure out whether he grade 2 games me or not, but he knows that he'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage if he just kind of like lets me go, because then I can just pressure him more, and he doesn't have the ability then that way to necessarily like protect himself. So he just rides up into the Nightrose here and will call the Honolly just to keep me off of doing a bunch of multi-attacks. So he's really, like, with him calling his own Honolly, he's really forcing me into the history collection stride, just because Katrina is not going to be effective with me not getting the multiple markers. So once I get the multiple markers, I am chilling for the rest of this fight. So he calls the Honolly, and as you can see, I do have to remind him, though, that if you boost with the Honolly dies, so he wants to keep, he can't boost it. So it's 12 blindly at my Vanguard. I no guard this, just because if he has double crit, one, it doesn't kill me. B, like, I have now 2 Hanalies that I kind of have to play through, so if I do go for a multi-attack, then I can pay, like, the 2 CB for, like, the 5th attack, I guess. Not really the, like, advantageous in my favor, though, necessarily. So that's, like, the big part that we try to play through here when we are deciding all this. So Jared hits a heal trigger, so he's going to be able to return the Elementaria to the drop, which is huge. So once he finds the Greed Shade, his Elementaria access is online. And then drive checks the Skull Dragon. So I take 1 here. It's a Katrina promo. And I stand and draw here. So again, like I kind of detailed before, like this hand, like especially now, like drawing like not really great pieces, that I kind of have to just blindly go into the history collection stride and hope it's enough to turtle at 3 damage. Necessarily, I probably should have guarded the last attack, but I mean, it is what it is. I could have like pitched the 20k shield on some other stuff, but I wasn't necessarily too scared about, again, like a high crit output, just because he hasn't really been able to compress his deck. Once he starts doing Big Obadiah and things like that, and the trigger chances go up because he's milling non-triggers, that's where the issue comes in, necessarily, like in this matchup in particular. So pitching the other copy of Asha here to fulfill the cost of the history collection stride, because electing not to regular stride. Going into Arbora and making 2 force 2s here. This setup is just so impactful for the Katrina turn, because then you get to threaten, like on your actual first Katrina, everything including herself having a crit. So this is why I really like this setup a lot. So just that way I have some trigger dump off action. I'm going to keep that plant token column stood, and I'm just going to swing here for 32 with triple drive. So Jared here trying to figure out what he necessarily wants to guard with. Does the good old water spout Djinn, so that way the other few in his deck are online. Accidentally pitches the wrong card. I let him take it back. Pitches the Skull Dragon. Second is the crit. Third is another crit. So that plant token is now 40k for crit, which is a little scary. But now I activate the effect of the Arbora, and as you can see here, as I turbo through my deck. Yes, this video is not spread up. I went that fast through my entire deck to find the other Hanali. I'm set up there now with that. So my second attack for the turn is going to be like enough to like push for Sam. My bad, the camera shifted. I think one of us accidentally kicked it. But yeah, you're just able to force through some damage here. So it's essentially PG or drop a lot of cards in hand or go to 5, which is why we're setting up here like this. Yeah, I feel bad that necessarily too, like Granblue doesn't have a lot of good options, like in that position, especially, where Jared could like get a card, get a GB face up, so that way he could revive more off this Big Obadiah. So I know that he has to go into a Big Obadiah here. He strides with the Chad the Ghosty, which I'm not sure why, considering he had the dragon in his hand, so he would have been able to draw a card and not waste the shield. That's kind of like my thought process with that. That's my only question mark so far in this game, because I think both of us have played this pretty well given our situation. There's a Bandit Rum here since he's made a gift to this fight. And so now you're essentially forced like in the position where everything's going to threaten to crit. Of course, you got to probably set up the whole Denial Griffin combo because I'm going to give you 2 CB for it. Like one of my swings is going to connect. It's going to give you the 2 Counterblast for the whole combo with the Beatrice Negro Lily Cannoneer. So you definitely might want to set up the Cannoneer play. You could also set up like some more resource engines. I think you grabbing the Greed Shade is very important. So he grabs Greed Shade, Ghost Ship, Beatrice. Grenache for the counter charge. And I believe his last pick is the Skull Dragon, which I think he later corrects before like he finishes to find the Cannoneer. Yep. There we go. Cool. Yep. Goes and grabs Cannoneer. Which is tough. Like if you don't have the G Nightrose, you're not able to blind mill like to get like your pieces in the drop zone. So that way, like, you don't have to be relying on Big Obadiah just to mill you 5 cards, right? So, like, in all honesty, Jared's behind, but he has a lot of good, like, breathing power. It's just, like, these 3 Honleys on the board between both me and him have, like, him slowed down a lot. And my hand necessarily also isn't, like, the best setup for protection to go crazy. Because, again, as you can see here, clearly, no PGs. And I'm kind of scared because now the compression's beginning to happen, right? So that's why you have to think about like in the Granblue matchup. He calls the Greed Shade here off the boy. I think you pitch the Columbard here in this instance just because you have no use for him now at this point. Like you already have Big Obadiah online, so you really do need to mill specific pieces. I just do it off Big Obadiah. Adds the Elementaria back to hand. And again here, kind of set up. Doesn't really have anything to do though, because again, like all of his multi-attack now is like offline because it's Night Storm and a CB. So boost here. This is 2733 to my 11. So now I have to do a little bit of counting here. So the Guardian ticket would make it 31. A 15k would make it 46. And then a 10k would make it 56. So it would make it 3 to pass. Which I honestly do not mind. So we get up in here. And two, like counting out like that is actually like a lot better than like trying to count out in your head, because it also lets you see like what's left in your hand over. So I go 3 to pass, and of course like every time I do that my opponent checks 3 blanks, but I just gonna let the double crit come through and kill me, you know what I mean? So yeah, my hand though pretty stable. Swings the Greed Shade here. This is 14 because he has, I don't think he has 10. Yeah, oh no, it's 19. It's 19 I got for 10. He swings 29, and because I don't want to pitch more than 20k shield, I'm going to let that come through. So now I stand and draw. And so now I'm beginning to get ready for an actual pretty impactful Katrina turn. That lets me prepare for the Bad Bounty. So now that he's set up with some pieces in drop, now I know that he's about to go into Bad Bounty. So this is the turn I'm essentially preparing for Bad Bounty because I have the Honleys up. I'm really slowing down this game state a lot due to Jared's like unfortunate mills and ride targets. I've been also able to slow down this game a lot. So I go into Katrina here, flipping up the Cyclone. Now all these plant tokens are 20k. I activate the Honolly to remove itself from the game, but still give it to Jared's effect, and it will be moved out of the drop zone right now. Because I don't know why I put it in the drop zone. But I have a token maker in hand, so I am able to call the Katrina. So I check the top 3 here. Miss on the Asha, of course. And we'll retire her by calling a plant token over her. So now each of these lanes are 40k. So I'm going to start by swinging 40k at the Vanguard. Jared's going to no our guard here, blank on one, and a crit trigger on the second one. So now Jared's 22. Swinging 40 again for 2 crit. He's contemplating here whether to G-Guard or PG, which I don't blame him. But honestly, a play here I could have seen was if he didn't need all that CB for the bad bounty turn, he could have gone into the Negro Lily play, because he would have limited the amount of call targets I would have had from deck if he was able to like necessarily like snipe one. You know what I mean? So I call the Asha here that you guys can't see, but I call the Asha that is the V Series one that says CB1, call 2 plant tokens, and she gets 10k on place. And then I call the logos. So the logos automatically are going to help me fend off these bad bounty turns and or these skull dragons. And I just call the Carpet Maiden because if I need to, I can recur her. Just so that way, like, I'm not as far behind. But again, Katrina functionally acts as like our big Obadiah for Neo Nectar, because you're thinning your deck of non-triggers. So like how you're compressing like 4 cards a turn versus 5, like, yeah, it's not as good. But Jared's gonna go ahead and Elementaria here the Katrina. He just didn't wait for all of my effects to activate. But yeah, the Elementaria was used, so don't worry. I caught it. So if you're confused on why this damage was not taken, it was Elementaria, and it's out of his hand and under his stack of G-Zone and stuff. So I hit another draw trigger here. Like, this is actually just huge that I keep hitting these draws. And I find another Lilga. So now I have 3 PGs in hand and a free discard fodder with that quick shield that's still lingering in my hand, surprisingly. So now for the last swing, because I will not have 2 counterblasts to swing this other 40k column, I'm just going to swing the 53k column because it's a little more for him to guard. It requires like 35k shield to avoid the 2. So he might have to PG this one or G-Guard in a really awkward way. Jared is going to G-Guard here. Go into... Yeah, I do not think it's 20, so we can't go into the neg girl. I'm trying to figure out what he goes into here. We'll activate the Negro Lily here. Retiring the Greed Jade. Calling the Beatrice. The Beatrice will Soul Blast the Peter. And we'll revive. As you can see, my hand here is solidly healthy now to tank like some turns, because I can afford to take A damage and do some other things here too. As you guys see, like, we're not even halfway through this game. This game goes back and forth. So he goes into another Greed Shade. He's going to discard here the Tommy, mill 2. And unfortunately, those were 2 triggers. Which is always tough to see out the Greed Shade mill. You much rather see a 1-on-1 than 2 triggers. And adds the Cannoneer to hand. Which is honestly a really weird pick. I really would like to know Jared's logic in behind adding that. Because maybe he wants to pay a CB to snipe my Honolly, so that way he's only under 2 Honolys, so that way I can't like forcibly do it again. And I'm just reminding him that now this is 47, so I need 10k more shield. I need 10k for that attack to be guarded, because the 5k only gets him to 52. So we'll just pitch that there and drop that off. So now it's Jared's turn. So Jared's now on the effectiveness of 3 Honolys, which is really tough because the enemy get there is crazy. So blast the Nightrose. Thinking to revive what? Also has to make his gift marker still. Yep, there we go. Why don't we do mandatory game actions first? It is all good. Was straight up revives back the Skull Dragon. Strides with the Dragon Boy now and draws a card. Goes into Bad Bounty now, so these logos are about to get zapped out of my hand for real. I'm just kind of like surveying my damage, trying to keep a cognizant like trigger count like in my head of okay, how many heals, and the OT is still in deck, of course. So I just have to try to mitigate like anything really bad from happening, knowing that his over trigger very well much so is in his deck as well. Yeah, he realizes that he's not going to have the CB output to like multi-attack me correctly here and have enough CB to attack. Period. with the 3 Honolys under his effectiveness right now. So he's just going to swing this 27, 33. So yeah, he gets the boost here without having to kill everything because of Nightrose. Peachy here pitching the quick shield. Just trying to get it up. As you guys can see, this game was crazy. So finally finds the G Nightrose, a Forbidal, and the over trigger. So now I necessarily really don't want to deal with that. So he gives everything here to the Greed Shade. Kind of surveying his drop zone here. Adds the Djinn. And draws our card off the over trigger. We'll CB1 and pitch 3 here. And is going to re-ride into that Nightrose. He's just trying to find it. Yeah. So gets another protect marker here. So swings the Skull Dragon first. Since it's for 1 damage, I just decided to take it. Damage check the Anelma. Retires here, swings the Overtrigger, Death Boy. Unfortunately, going to have to use the other Lolga here. And use that PG here. He swings the Nightrose. I don't know why I saw that logo on the Guardian Circle. That battle's already done. I remove it, but it's like just seeing us like because we're actively talking about the game too. Because like for this, when me and Jared playtest, we're also playtesting, and I'm trying to like show him like optimal plays and things like that. While he's also trying to like learn for himself. So as we're talking, I think we both get distracted on like basic game actions that we have to do. I can't lie. See, there we go. It's gone. But because Jared now knows he can't attack, he's just going for value play, and this is what he should be doing. Like this is the actively correct play in lines to be going for. I think Jared adds back a Djinn, if I'm not mistaken. That or a Heal Guardian. Which should be the correct targets here. Yeah, adds back the Heal Guardian. And unfortunately here I have to hard guard this Nightrose. So I go 28, 30, 38, so 2 to pass. And does not get the triggers there for it. So again, thankfully saved by duds. And at the end of the turn here, the Grenache gets to CC. So now, I draw. I'm going to stride again into a Katrina. And now this is where I have to begin to start putting the pressure while also cognizantly reminding myself that a Bartholomew turn may come into play or another bad bounty. It just really depends on what the rest of the matchup and the setup looks like for all this coming down the line here. So I do the Katrina, ride, flip again. Again, do not call anything and activate this last Honolly. So now I'm going to call the other Katrina promo that's in my hand, I think here, to make the last token. So that way I have 5 up on board and I just begin to push. So now I'm under 1 Honolly while Jared now again is under 2. So I'm really trying to make this hard for him to be able to close out this game. Because that's what you really need to do in terms of attack efficiency under like multiple Honollies. Just kind of count triggers out, giving him a little count. So you can see what's happening, because this whole entire front row having a crit, knowing that I'm going to begin to start actually slamming face here is pretty terrifying. So begin to swing here. This is 50 to crit. I believe it's 22 or 23 in his drop, somewhere around that number. We'll G-Guard here. We'll go into the girl and say no damage. This will be 50 for 2 crit again. Jared goes Djinn, pitching the Nightrose and countercharging 1. Swing now 53 and call in a bunch of cards. As you can see too, my deck is pretty healthy on solid triggers. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable in terms of just being able to spam out more tokens here. Because I will have the CB to pay now, since I only have to pay 1 to fight through his Honolly. So I just call, I just call up here. As you can see, I have a bunch of triggers as well as the OT left in deck. I think it's like 3-4 crit left. 3 to 4 crits left, and all the draws are out at this point. But then like the OT and like 3 heals. So by again just compressing a bunch of cards over and over again, I feel pretty comfortable. So again, just calling over everything here, resetting the board to a bunch of more plant tokens. Since I'm out of horticulture elves too, like that's the big thing, is that I'm not able to do like an actual solid multi-attack line, because the horticulture elves are out and I'm under that Honolly. So good on Jared actually keeping that up all game. Here's the PG here for the Katrina. So I do triple drive. First check is a heal trigger, so I'm going to be able to recover a damage and give something 10k. So I'm going to give the first little guy there 10k. Heal out the maiden. Just because if I get a Robertina play, I get to go for everything. So give 10k and a crit there for them. And the third is another crit. So my drive checks have been crazy all day in this game. Just really keeping Jared on the back foot. Especially now that I've stabilized, and now I have the whole like the whole Ontero line as well. So I swing here. This is 73 crit. And I'm much more so willing now to pay the counterblast, knowing that both of these swings threaten lethal. I'm just going to shred through the rest of his hand if he doesn't have something effective. Well, G-Guard here. I just talked to him too about, okay, you got to be cognizant because now you have to commit a bell if you want the counter charge. Just because, you know, your threshold of 30 matters. So counter charges here. Just able to put up more solid plays here. So yeah, he kills his own Honolly to set up this whole entire line here. Goes for the Cannoneer here. Which he honestly could have gone Negronor regardless, PG the other, and still had like the stride fodder. So kills that plant token. So this is 37. G-Guards again here. Or now he does the Nora. So he does it all on effectively one swing, which is totally fine. Flips up another of the CB Banshee, baby. And calls to hand. So, as you can see, I have a PG in hand, the Ontero. And the Ontero is huge going into the Bartholomew turn. I get to G-Guard and give myself 2 free defensives. Which is insane. If he does not push for more. So the attack is guarded here. We'll ride in stride. Well, not ride in stride, but strides here with the Nightstorm. Just doing another quick count here. A big card that's not in the drop zone, I believe, is the Jesse. So he goes into the Bartho here. And now I'm like, crap. This could either go really well or really bad. Hopefully he doesn't have like too much of a crazy setup. So Jared now is under just 1 Honolly. So Jared now activates Forbidal here. Thinning out the deck by 1 card, which is big on the Bartho turn. Cannot really see from this angle like what's left in deck versus like my hand cam, but eventually I'll be able to go up and get everything. So I cut the deck here. Calls the Beatrice over the Beatrice. Or the Beatrice over the Nightstorm. How do you get the 3 into the drop? Hold on, did he not reset that up correctly? Hold on, let's see. Yeah, my bad that I did not catch that. My bad I did not catch that. So he bones to get the dragon up, but yeah, I think though he's still over the threshold. But yeah, that's on me. That's on me. I mean, if he bones, then he gets the card into the drop zone theoretically. So yeah, it's fine to an extent, but my apologies that I did not catch that. That is an error on my end because I'm still also trying to, in my brain, try to map that out correctly. So I take this first Skull Dragon here and hit a huge defensive history collection crit. So I get to draw a card and give myself 10k. And I draw into another heal, I believe. I draw into another heal. So I have 1 heal. Can't remember what I drew into here. I have a heal and another heal. So yeah, I drew into another heal, which is like insane. So now my livability has like gone through the roof. And I feel very confident in being able to live the rest of this. So he swings the next Skull Dragon here. And I'm going to G-Guard. And this Skull Dragon's like 60, like something ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just trying to count the cards in my deck too, because I'm like, if I have to take one, where do I take the one at? You know what I mean? Because I have a heal and an OT left in the deck. So here we're going to try this. So I'm going to G-Guard here, and we're going to show Jared the impeccable defensive play that I love doing with this deck. So G-Guard here, I'm just getting a number confirmation. I don't know why I went to grab my plant tokens, but it's okay. So go into Rain Breath. Rain Breath goes and activates the Ontero. The Ontero comes in here for plus 20. So my Vanguard is 43, 63, and I just can't guard with like a last like few cards where I have to pitch 3 cards from hand. So I believe I just end up... Do I end up G-guarding it? Or no, it's 15 to guard this. So I think I actually just pitch these 3 grade 2s. Yeah, if I have them gripped like that, I have to do it that way then. Knowing me. Yeah. Because it's 3 cards from hand, 2 guard. 15k gets it over the Guardian threshold limit. So, yep. 2 Horticulture's Elf and an Anelma down. Swings here the Bartho for the 3rd attack. Calls Skull Dragon. Calls Bell. And has no real way to, I think, get cards back. So what does he end up calling? I think, yeah, he just calls the Grenache, right? Yeah, just straight up calls the Grenache. So all these guys are going to get 5k. The Grenache is labeled as hollow. Because I told him that probably for the stream we should be putting the dice on that just to make sure like no one said, oh, he didn't declare it as hollow, since I'm voicing over like all these videos anyway. So the Barthos here is just 27. So I think I can safely get away with 3 to pass. If I just intercept with the Ontero, it makes it a 3 to pass. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Because this puts me to 38, so 3 to pass. And I leave it good as that. First check's a crit. And he asks how many cards are in my hand. And he does something very smart here, which I commend him on. He asked me to take a peek in my drop zone. Because he watched me add the 2 Anelmas to hand, which most people remember. Most people don't remember drive checks as well. So the fact that he clearly recognized that the other Anelma is still in my hand for the 3rd one I got off that drive check for the Katrina last turn is huge. So props to Jared for remembering, honestly, for that first Katrina swing. And he's getting the trigger count now. So I believe there's 3 triggers left in his entire deck. I believe there's 13 triggers showing right now for him, which is tough. So now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to guard this Skull Dragon, right? Because I can get up with a Robertina to 43, 70, 73, or I could go into an Ontero, which gives me 78. But I still have to guard with 3 cards, right? So either way, regardless, I think my hand is going bye-bye here. So I asked for a number here, and I'm just thinking, right, like how can I finish the game with no cards in hand? So you're going to watch me read the White Maiden here, and this is where the spice begins to kick in. So I think here I'm trying to like figure out the math. Like I'm doing the math in my head to G-guard. I'm like, man, I can't do this. This is really tough. Because like the 30 from my hand too doesn't get me there. Like I have to commit so much like guard because that's over. That is like 109k like column, like over that even. So it's like, okay, I really have to use the PG here. So now I'm reading what the Peony does. And it's crazy that I have 4 rear guards exactly on the board. So, I mean, this couldn't work out any better. So, I go, no, I can't do it like that. I have to guard with the 3. So, I PG and then activate the PG effect to discard. And we see if we top deck the Stride Fodder. And as that comes down, I top deck Elementaria Sanctitude. So, I'm like, all right. Time to kill him with a Maiden of Stand Peony. And that's too that he couldn't even kill one, because if I top deck the Elementaria, my entire dead turn, and he like was able to kill another one of my plant tokens, my entire turn is dead, right? So I'm now just thinking, okay, so each of these plant tokens inherently, because of Cyclone's face up, it gets plus 10k. So this is going to be 15 2 crit. So I get a pseudo mini Katrina turn on this Maiden a Stand Peony here. So this is 15 2 crit. He asks what the Peony does, and I said the Peony is going to be CB1, retire 4 rear guards, call 4 plant tokens. If you're at grade 3 or greater, they all get 10k. So essentially, each of these plant tokens are going to come in here with 20k after this little swing here. So I swing now for a 32 crit. This is 30. So I need 5 more K. And I swing here with the Peony. The Peony retires the 4 rear guards. I call these plant tokens back, and now look at this, baby. Each of these bad boys are getting 10k, and then 10k from the Cyclonid. So these are going to be 50k columns with a 13 for the final swing here. And Jared says, all right, 27 to the 13, hit 2. And I drive check 2 blanks. And I get in here for these last 2 columns, as he has 3 cards left in deck, and I just go pass for the game. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I hope you all enjoyed this one. Until next time, later.